giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom! You see it. We're picking up our On the Clock series. We're talking wide receivers, a very deep class, so it's only right we bring back our guy, my brother, Foots the King. We're going to talk about Foots' top 10 wide receivers in this class. And look, me and Foots definitely disagree on a lot of things. We're going to talk about some things we disagree on. His top 10, a particular thought process on this class in general, but there are a lot of things we agree on with this class as well. Y'all gonna want to stick around for that top 10 list. I think is very interesting. But we'll have him on here in about 5 minutes. And then we'll also dive even deeper into the top 10. So, we're going to do top 10, his top 10 wide receivers in this class. But we're going to talk about 5 fits, whether it be from first round all the way to day 3, possibly early day 2 or late day 2. So stick around for that as well. We're going to deep dive into those guys. And then in the roundup, this guy popped back into the news. Hey, look, tag. It's your time. It's your turn, CD Lamb. You know how this thing goes. Dak had his go about it early in off season. Micah's been back and forth in the news. CD Lamb started off right after, his whole family situation. CD back into the news. So we're going to touch on that in the roundup very briefly because there's some irony to it. And then because we're talking about CeeDee Lamb, who plays receiver, it just makes sense. Talk about wide receiver draft class. What's good, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
It's that simple. They make it easy for us sometimes. Shouts out to y'all. Appreciate y'all for being here. Make sure if you are a part of the Bomb Squad, you already know, hit that like button and share this with your friends and family to let them know to come through for some real Cowboys talk, okay? Let's get into this roundup, Cowboys Nation.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Like I just said, man, CD, it is your turn, sir. It is your turn to be a part of this media circus that is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, again, this is nothing new. This has been happening in Dallas for a very long time. This is how they do things. And I'm not talking about just the Joneses. I'm talking about the media as well. Michael Gelkin, I believe it was last week, dropped a tweet. I'm sorry, not last week, a few days ago. Dropped a tweet that set the Cowboys world ablaze. He says, quote, Cowboys begin their voluntary spring workout program 1 week from today, barring a surprise departure from precedent. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb won't participate as a potential holdout looms. Voluntary spring workout program. He may not participate as a potential holdout looms. So, look, I like Michael Gelkin. Feels a bit disingenuous to throw that there at the bottom. I mean, yeah, I guess you can make a story about a potential holdout looming, but geez, you can say that for everybody, right? Why not do it for Micah? Why not do it for Dak? Why not do it for whoever else is in there last year? But those aren't going to get the same amount of clicks, and he has a job. Stephen Jones last week, I guess someone asked him about this potentially happening, right? like players not being around during contract negotiations. And he said, quote, everybody goes about it a different way. We've had guys who've been around. Zeke, he was around when, or he was never around when he was wanting a contract. So we've dealt with both. I mean, so last year, CeeDee Lamb could have been extended. Trayvon Diggs got extended. CeeDee Lamb could easily have been extended and probably should have been extended. But when a player in Dallas is about to either reset the market or get in that top 2 or 3, they tend to drag their feet, man. They tend to drag their feet. Even if you go look at Diggs' contract, I believe his average annual salary was around $19.4 million, which was like 5th. So it wasn't even like it was resetting the market. Did Terrence Steele reset the market? Nope. Oh, we'll get that done. Did Jalen reset the market? Nope. Not. They got. I'm talking about a while ago. Got that done. Same thing with Collins and a few others. But for some odd reason, Dak. Now we're doing it with CD. Happened with Dez. DeMarcus Lawrence. You could argue even Zach Martin. If people don't remember, Zach's original contract extension, the dude had to threaten not coming to these type of workouts. And they say, you know what? You can't play with that. Here's your money. You're going to sign CD Lamb. Just get it over with so all this hot air can just be gone. Why they drag their feet, I will never know. However, there is a whole nother layer to this thing that you could really get into when it comes to why they're not doing any extensions to this point in the offseason. Now, obviously, it may change later, and it's about allocating actual cash in the 2024 year. Player be damned. That is a nuanced discussion that paints an entirely different picture that I think reveals a primary issue about how they go about their business. That's something that takes way more in-depth conversation. And I keep talking about Joey, but I'm going to bring Joey on here. I'm just waiting for the right time to do it so he can, talk to the Bomb Squad in depth about this, because it goes far beyond, just people look at the average annual salary. How $60 million. They love to throw that out there. 200 million. It goes so far beyond that with this franchise that it deserves a real spotlight, I think, put on it. Ironically, though, Lamb spoke with TMZ Sports. They rolled up on Lamb. They pressed him, and I don't know where he was at the mall. I don't know. And they asked CeeDee Lamb a bunch of questions that really he gave some generic answers to. He really didn't say anything regarding a spring workout, holdout, or anything like that. They said, hey, man, you going to be in Dallas this year? And he said, yeah, I'm going to be in Dallas. He ended the conversation. Yeah, I'm going to be in Dallas. And why wouldn't he be in Dallas this year? But that's TMZ Sports, so, they're different. I do think it's ironic, though, that TMZ was the first to get him. I think it's funny because a lot of the conversations around the Cowboys are TMZ type of conversations. And, thankfully, as I bring you guys back, I'm not the type that covers that in-depthly, right? There are enough outlets, I think, that does that. So I don't feel the need to. I feel like we could just talk ball here, team building, draft, guest, all that type. That's just who I am. Am I sacrificing views? Probably. Am I sacrificing the raging dialogue? Probably. Am I sacrificing subscribers? Probably. But that doesn't move me. So I kind of let the rest of the world do it because we got enough people, whether it be mainstream, the big networks love that, or whether it be the YouTube community, that they can tackle those type of conversations because they are able to move the needle, I think, better in that sense. So it doesn't move me, and I don't like to fake the funk. You know how I am. Can't do it, won't do it. What does move me, though, is talking ball. What does move me is talking NFL draft with my guy Foots the King. Foots went on Twitter last week. And where was the tweet? Let me see here. Foots said something along the lines that wide receiver was a sneaky need. And if y'all remember, we did a top 5 needs, and guess what popped up into our top 5? Wide receiver. I talked about how CeeDee Lamb is a strength. I think they have solid depth, meaning they can go out there and they can play right now, and they'll be fine in the sense of Dak will throw for 4,400, 40 touchdowns or whatever, but that doesn't mean it's amazing depth. It's solid. But my concerns was a physical presence in the future, number 2. I don't think those are on the roster right now. So hence why I believe it is a draft need. I responded to Foot's tweet. I said, Foots is a deep class, man. No need to jump for a wide receiver, but coming away with one in the first 3 rounds would be ideal for the future of the position. And Foots and I went back and forth. Pew, pew. Now, we wasn't throwing jabs. We went back and forth, and I was like, wait. This is too good. This is a good conversation. Let's bring this to the show. Let's talk about this on the Clock series. And boom. Here we are. My brother Foots is in the building. What's good, bro?
Skywalker still. What's up, Dad?
Hey, look, you already know. I've been talking to you about the newborn life. You already know what it is. You know, your buck is what 2 now, roughly?
Yeah, man.
So you know
no, 4. 4.
It's been 4 years?
4 years, bro. It's crazy, man.
Jeez.
He had his first little basketball run around, roll all over the floor session yesterday, but patience, pray for my patience, guy. This is between watching film and doing stuff. This is my little getaway. So it's been good, man.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. Appreciate you as always joining us in the morning, man. When I can get you on, I know your mornings are busy, but there's not many other people I like to talk draft with than you. And I just thought it was great that you tweeted that out because it kind of led us into talking about these receivers, man. And I think what we can both definitely agree on here is that this class is deep.
Yeah. Sky, I have 35 draftable receivers. I sent you my stack. Did write-ups on all of them. I really dug deep on this class because it is a really talented class. And what we'll get in today, Sky, is, and we'll take our time with it, it's flavors. It really is flavors, Sky. Mm-hmm.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think there's this class is interesting because you got the big 3, but then you've got, I think, a bit of a cluster after that where, like you said, pick your flavor, what works for you. But when you sent me a stack, and honestly, you had already sent me that. You sent me that a while ago. I really didn't dive into it till I decided to do this show, and I got the graphic made, and I was like, wait a minute. Foot's got a couple of these players a little higher than I thought he would. So let's before we jump into our 5 guys that we're going to dive into, let's look at Foots the King's top 10 wide receivers in this draft class. And Foots,
yes,
the top 3 I think is everybody agrees with, but You got a little bit of a shake up there. Can you go over your top 3 in Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, and Malik Neighbors?
Yeah, so this will probably raise questions, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people who there's people who have Neighbors as 1, and I'm not mad at that. You and I, Scott, I think you do the best job in our community of knowing other teams' coaches and knowing staff. I'm not just talking about the OCs. I'm talking about, our receiver coach. You do those deep dives. And so what I tell people is I want to find players that are scheme proof. I love Malik Neighbors, but I can see a world where he goes to an OC that doesn't know how to use him and just camps him on the edge. And I can see a world where Rome Odunze, who is he doesn't have that elite burst and that elite athleticism that Neighbors has, but he's solid at everything. And so that's why my grade with him at 2 over Neighbors was just a little bit higher. He's so hard to bring down. You got to understand, this is 210 with the route tree and with the ability, everything
it's solid built, yeah.
Yeah, you can see it, Sky. Like his frame, his upper body's a tank. I believe he'll be able to do well in the cold. Let's say he goes to a cold weather team. So that went into my evaluation. But there's no wrong answer with the big three. I just think that with Neighbors, I get scared with certain OCs. I do. Being a coach myself, seeing how schemes and how defense really dominated the NFL last year. Scoring was down. So I think that even with this big three, and this is the thing that we'll keep in mind throughout this conversation, Sky. Remember this part. The Cowboys don't need a number one receiver. The teams at the top of the draft need a number one. Outside of the Bears, if you're drafting one of these three, they're coming in and they're your number one guy.
Yeah.
So that's different. And so I just want to make sure that everybody knows that the Cowboys don't need a one.
Yeah, I mean, I was
at the top of the draft. They do.
I sure as hell would have hoped they would look at CeeDee Lamb as a number one, but man, there's still some doubters apparently out there. But yeah, your top three, the tags touching with the top three, I don't think is really the shocking part. That's why I say it's just a slight little mix up here with not mix up, but differences of opinion from most with Rome at 2, Malik at 3. But again, tags are touching. When tags are touching, it's really not that serious to me. It just comes down to preference when they're that close. Where it kind of made me go, oh, and honestly, it shouldn't have, because I knew how high you were on Keon Coleman early on in this whole entire process. But to see Keon Coleman at 4, and I think that's where the cluster begins. After the big three, I feel like there's going to be a raging differences of opinions on who's the next guy. And, you know, Coleman, Thomas Jr., I say Lad McConkey, but A.D. Mitchell, Troy Franklin, like these players will all get clustered after that. But you got Coleman at 4.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. What I mean, I know that's your guy. We've talked about Coleman before, but kind of reiterate to those who may be new here.
So, you know, Sky, you always talk about draft fatigue, and I think it's a real thing. And I think what ends up happening is people kind of overthink themselves. They overthink certain players. They forget to trust just, you know, what made them like this player. Now, with Keon Coleman, I think we have to take everything into a vacuum. For the life of me, it was times when I'm watching Jordan Travis, I'm just like, no, he's an undraftable player. I know he got injured, but he's undraftable. There's times I'm watching a scheme, and it just felt like, you know, when I watched what Mike Norvell and those guys did at Florida State, it really felt like, okay, run game isn't working, jump ball to Johnny Wilson, jump ball to Keon Coleman. I don't think that they ran him on enough overs and actually threw him the ball over the middle of the field, because he's NFL open even if he doesn't separate. So everybody's going to come to me with, well, separation. The difference is when you're 6'4" and you have the body control that he does, he's Anquan Bolden open. You'll live with that. He can shield defenders. He's the best blocking receiver in this class. So people will say, well, that doesn't matter. Yes, it does. He literally he takes corners and he erases them. He's so hard to bring down. Obviously, he doesn't have the separation of a Rome or a Malik Neighbors or the guys at the top of the class, or a Lad McConkey, who's a complete demon as a route runner. But there are ways that he can win. And for me, if he goes to a team that the same thing that Puka Nacua was able to do with Sean McVay, overs, comeback, getting him the ball on anything in breaking, Keon Coleman is going to win because he doesn't need separation to win. He literally it's almost as if it's a power forward boxing out a point guard, and some of these corners are small, and he wins that way. So that's why I kept him up there.
So just trying to give further information here on this one. If he requires, you know, scheme fit, is that a little bit of a knock though? You know what I mean? Like, hey man, he has to go to a particular type of team to exceed expectation.
You know what? You know what, Sky? I can say yes. In full transparency, I would say yes. And so maybe that is a little bit of my bias in that situation. But then you got to also think about this, Sky. The red zone ability is real. Yeah,
that's anywhere, right? You could, damn a scheme. You can throw him the ball to red zone, any team.
You could throw him the ball in the red zone, a true jump ball winner. You know, people say he's N'Keal Harry. He's not N'Keal Harry. He's a much better athlete than N'Keal Harry. The shuttle was good at the combine, and we got to remember his size. So you're talking about 215, and they're 220, moving the way that he does, was an outstanding basketball player. So I just reimagine the guy. Again, he's not gonna run past you, but I think anything where he's on the same plane, he's gonna come down with the football, and he's also very hard to bring down.
And to be fair, a lot of young players, drafted players, have to be scheme fits early on, I think, to have success. But the reason why you see the top three, because it does not matter, I believe. It doesn't matter where you put them. These guys have special type of traits and skills that I think will translate anywhere. And that kind of leads me into our 5 guys, right? Now, Cowboys Nation, before we get into this isn't the top 5 guys overall. You just saw Foots' top 10 list, but we're just kind of talking about 5 wide receivers that could potentially best fit the Cowboys. And honestly, me and Foots, we had a conversation about the first guy we're going to talk about. We were talking about him via text. And when I talked about Fitz, I kind of was like, oh, interesting that you bring him in here, but it's kind of hard to leave this dude off the list in general because of he's a baller. But I do want to know, why you believe Malik Washington would be a fit for the Cowboys as we get into breaking down the player in general, because he is a baller. But the fit for the Cowboys, what makes you believe he's a fit?
Well, I think that he would instantly be upgraded into the role that we tried to bring in Turpin. But I think that he's a better football player and all around. Like, I think that he understands football better than Kevontae Turpin. I think Turpin is more of a special teams guy. I think we tried to integrate him in the offense. But I just think that, and shout out to Professor O for this one, man. Like, I really want to throw him the alley-oop. We were talking about him early on in the process, Sky. And you know me from our years past. I stay away from the little guys because I just know that this team won't take chances on those guys. But then when you look deeper and you look at how many broken tackles he was able to force and you look at how he wins and you really watch the film, I directly comp him to Zay Flowers. Now, people are going to say, Foots, you're crazy. Go look at the numbers. He had more So when he was at Northwestern, he had more broken tackles, more yards, more touchdowns in their last season. Zay Flowers was a first-round pick. Malik Washington is only an inch smaller, and I think he's probably a little bit thicker than Flowers. Here's the deal. When he was at Northwestern, before he transferred to Virginia, a lot in college. It's crazier now than everything ever with NIL and the transfer portal, the whole nine. Kids are going places that they say, where can I be used to my skill set? And Northwestern, run the ball, Big Ten country, wasn't getting an opportunity. He transfers, he blows it up, Sky. And it's like when you reimagine this type of guy on the edge, he wins. He can win on the edge. He can win on the edge. He's not just a slot only. He can win on the edge. And dare I say, I know that Nation is falling in love with Mal Corley. I love Malachi Corley. I think that Malik Washington might be a better route runner than Malachi Corley. I think that he might win down the field better than Mal Corley.
Well, it's so funny because if you – I think I was talking to Professor O about this. If you put Malachi Corley's measurable size on Malik Washington, and we'll discuss this. I don't even think it's a debate about him being can be a boundary receiver. If you put Malik Washington's size on Malachi Corley, I think you say, hey, man, put him at running back. Exactly. It's so interesting because I think Malik Washington is a better wide receiver, more refined wide receiver, but I do think from a physical standpoint, Corley probably bests him a little bit there. But I mean, Washington is, man, he's tough, man. Tough, quick little guy. Lots of quick game there at Virginia. Yeah, he's 5'8", but he plays with like a 6'8" mentality. I do think, though, because of his size, he has to put that effort in his route running. And I think it's good. I mean, he snaps so quick out of his breaks, and he runs a ton of hitches, but I've never seen somebody so aggressive in how he does it. Yeah. But here are the concerns. Not every prospect is, but we're going to talk about good and bad on a lot of these prospects. Here are the concerns, though, with him. And we cannot just completely ignore the size. And I think because of it, right, if he is uncontested, his release, or if he's unabated in his route, he'll route you up. But I noticed against Louisville, Tennessee, and Boston College that when corners get their hands on him, he is easily jolted and reroute it because he's not a big dude. And that's just physics.
Yeah.
You know, his catch radius is not big either. That's just physics. He can win downfield, but obviously it's going to be a low percentage throw because of the catch radius. But the things that he's so good at, right, breaking the tackles, his quickness, he has strong hands, I'm up tough. A lot of that to me, you can kind of say, okay, I can work with this and just deal with the other things. But where I do disagree with, though, is I do look at him for the Cowboys. I do look at him as a slot-only guy because I don't see him as a traditional X or a Z. I feel like if you're going to use him more than the slot here, Foots, I think you have to do it with a lot of motion, a lot of pre-snap stuff, a lot of at-snap stuff. I worry about him. I mean, clearly he can't play X. That's gone. I worry about him dealing with NFL corners at the line of scrimmage or within that 5 yards. So if you kind of put him in a slot, get him moving, I think it works. So I think that's where we disagree with Washington. I think he is a slot-only guy, at least here, but maybe he's not anywhere else. Go look at Tank Dell in Houston. They can move Tank Dell outside the slot because, you know, Bobby Slowick know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, 93 catches from the slot. That was second in college football. So, I mean, you're definitely right there. I just think that you're absolutely right, this guy. And it's like what you have to do is exactly what you said. Get those free releases. You don't want him camped on the edge going against Trayvon Diggs. He's going to lose. He's not that physical. Yeah, like that, Diggs will beat him up. But get free releases. Maybe get him matched up on a linebacker. He's very tough at the contested catch. I mean, 11 contested catches. He's very tough. Like, he will go over the middle, get crunched, and pop up. So I look at that with some of these guys. But I like, you know, 4th, 5th round, that's where I got him at. I would draft him in a heartbeat and be happy, Sky. I really would.
Yeah, again, the only thing for him, I would be happy. For the Cowboys, I'd be concerned because I'm like, man, do I trust them to use him, man? I just don't know how. I just don't trust them. I don't trust them. Turpin, you had a great comp in the sense of not comp of the player, but the style in that. You know, Turpin's here. I think he's a more refined wide receiver than Turp. Maybe they'll say, well, hey, Turpin, we couldn't use you. We'll know how to use Malik Washington. I don't know. I got to see it to believe it. They've never figured it out. And this goes beyond McCarthy. They didn't figure it out with Tavon Austin. They hardly figured it out with Cole. Like, Cole Beasley was a legitimate slot receiver, though. So they don't really do well with them shorter guys. But dude's a baller in general. Screw the Cowboys. The dude is a baller. If he gets taken in the 3rd round, I think he'd be a nice steal for us.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. 3rd, 4th round area, I think that's where he belongs for sure.
This next one, man, I really enjoyed watching his film. And Jalen, my apologies, y'all. And Jalen McMillan out of Washington. Washington got, come on, bro. I mean, Penix he just had to pick a litter. Who wants it? You know, Polk, McMillan, you know, Adunze, just so many players. But man, I got a weird comp later on that I want to talk to you about. But watching him, I feel like, bro, he's a perfect slot type, Z type for this McCarthy style of offense. But you got Jalen McMillan as one of your 5 best fits here. Why is that?
You know, if you watch his 2022 film, I don't think there's any way he gets past the 2nd round. Guy dealt with some injuries this year. This guy, to me, can run every route in the route tree. Yeah. Obviously, 6'1" frame. There were people last year who said, man, you know, he's going to be the best out of the big 3. Obviously, Roma Dunze comes on, has the fantastic. And then Jalen Polk gives you a little bit more after the catch. But if you're just talking about a route runner who can get in the window, he did deal with a little bit of the injuries this year. He can get in the windows, and he's fast, and he can open up the top. He can open up the defense. He's faster than what he runs, than the 4.47 that he ran. He plays faster than that to me. Catches everything. There's 2 players on this list of our 5 that I say no coverage, and that's Jalen McMillan, and then we'll get to the other guy on our 5. I'll save it, but he obviously the other guy's a little bit better he's a lot better than Jalen McMillan. But this player, when you get to the NFL, you notice you can't run yourself covered. He doesn't do that. He runs to areas when it's zone because it's going to change. It always changes. That's if you're running stick, a stick concept, it may not be the same. You literally have to be able to ID this within that 30 seconds of the snap and get to those windows, and your quarterback is dependent on you to do that. And people got to understand, Washington really ran a pro system.
Yo, I'm sitting here watching their route and I'm still, man, that's a great concept. That's a great concept. So, yeah, they're going to come in experienced. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so, I mean, you got them pegged. I just think, to me, again, that third round, I mean, last year, and it's so subjective because they had 3 guys who are 3 guys. Like anywhere else, they would be those guys. But on that team, they kind of had to share the load. But I love Jalen McMillan's film.
I do too.
He's one of those receivers because it's so deep. He could be sitting there in the 5th round, and you're like, how did this happen? But it can happen.
If he's sitting there in the 5th round, bro, what are we doing? Here's what I got on McMillan. I really, like I said, I enjoy his film, but I said he's a perfect slot receiver, I think, for the Cowboys, but he can play some Z. McCarthy likes you to do multiple things. That's another reason why I think it could be a bit touch and go with the other cat, because he's probably only going to be able to do one thing. He's a smart, heady player that knows how to use his speed and route transitions. He won't wow you with his top-end speed, but he has enough when combined with his route-running ability to be a threat. Unbelievable route runner. As you guys can see, I'm talking about routes. I mean, I think he's one of the best route runners in this class. And I think when you get to that stemming point, right, as a receiver, I don't know how many in this class aside from McConkey, and I love McConkey's so aggressive with it. McMillan is smooth. I mean, he could just he sets you up so well, man, and he's able to keep that speed, which again 4.47, not blazing, but good enough when you combine it with how he can run routes. He has a great feel in space, ability to set up a safety even when running to zones. And if teams will play that cloud coverage or umbrella coverage against Cowboys, I think this guy is a guy that can get open for your quarterback. And the one thing I had was he would have to show that he can make the contested catches at the next level, because you don't see a whole lot of them. You literally don't, because that scheme is really good. You got to deal with a Dunze, you got to deal with Polk, you got to deal with the deep ball threat of Penix, and he's able to just absolutely wreck these zones or absolutely wreck one-on-one coverage because he's a great route runner. But there's not a whole lot of contested catches, so he's got to show that he can do that at the next level. But, yeah, he ain't going to wow you like some of these other dudes from an athletic standpoint. But if you want a smart dude who's going to get open, have separation, and can come in right now and be kind of like Jackson Smith and Jigba, where, Jackson Smith and Jigba is not, Xavier Legette, 6'2", 220 pounds, but he going to get open. He can get you with the route running. I comped him, though, to like a more athletic Tyler Boyd, for me, kind of a longer slot wide receiver that can go out, but he can be kind of your smooth route running slot guy. I think he'll be great for a veteran quarterback right now.
I think that when you think about it, he had kind of already played the role that he would be able to play in Dallas and Washington, being that Robin, the 2 great receivers. Obviously, Dallas has 2 great weapons in Ferguson and CD. And so he already played that role in Washington. I'm going to give you a comp here, Sky. I saw Terry McLaurin on film. People got to remember, Terry McLaurin was a 3rd-round pick. Mm-hmm. And, he went to Washington and became a number 1. I think this guy's floor is probably higher than his ceiling, but I think his floor could be a very reliable number 2.
Yeah.
Just steady Eddie. He'll never be a 1. I don't think that he has that makeup, but steady Eddie. He'll catch the ball consistently. He'll get open consistently, and I think that he'll continue to make plays in the league where he is more. I think you don't have to imagine him and have a table of you don't have to have a chapter in your playbook for him. I think that you could plug him in different places and he'll be ready to go because of the scheme that he ran at Washington.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and I think he's going to come in right now. And look, depending on the scheme, obviously, maybe it take him some time to adjust, but he's got that experience with a pro style type of offense anyway. So I'm with you there. Jalen McMillan, I think potentially, I know Polk is another guy out of Washington that slept on. If he's there in the 5th, like you said, I mean, that's madness to me. I feel like this guy's a day 2 pick, and depending where he goes, he can come in and contribute right away.
Yeah, man, for sure.
We've talked about this next dude a few times, actually. I think we talked about him heading into the combine. He did well at the combine, and we talked about him coming out of the combine. Jermaine Burton out of Alabama, who former Georgia commit, transferred to Alabama, put up some really good tape. This dude you want to talk about that dog in him. That's what everybody loves to talk about. Dog. Jermaine Burton got the dog in him. 6 foot 196, ran a 4.45 at the combine. The talent, we'll get to that in a second. But there was a nugget that Dane Brugler dropped the other day. I'm not sure if you caught this, Foots, where he said, quote, "The talent's there. It's a matter of consistency on and off the field. He's been to 6 schools in 8 years. As one NFL scout put it, he was on the shit list of the coaches of both Georgia and Alabama." Does that concern you a little bit when you're looking at a Jermaine Burton?
Scott, I'll take it a step further. I mean, you go back to high school, here's a guy who literally was all over the place. He was in Georgia, flew to Calabasas for high school. So he was in California in high school because he lost a year. Something happened. Then he was committed to LSU, then decommitted, then was committed to Miami, then decommitted. Then everybody thought that he was going to UCLA, then decommitted, only to go to Georgia, where he's on that team with Adnan Mitchell, Ladd McConkey. Georgia is not the place that – Georgia hasn't had a first-round receiver probably since A.J. Green. And so Georgia is not the place that you want to go if you're a receiver because, Kirby Smart believes in running the ball, smash mouth football. Yes, Brock Bowers is going to get drafted. And yes, Ladd McConkey made the most of his opportunities. But A.D. Mitchell and Jermaine Burton got out of there for that reason. But then he goes to Alabama, and then he gets in trouble with apparently smacking the girl's phone so the whole nine. So when we say deep dives, we were talking about it. I had to do an extreme deep dive on him. I was like, what's going on that when I'm watching him, I see first-round talent. I really do. I stand on that. That's why I have him so high in my 10. So what's the disconnect? I listen to him. Everything sounds good. But I do see bad body language at times on the field. And I'll be honest, you go back to the championship game, you start to see 2025 quarterback rankings. Jalen Milroe shouldn't even be on there. I mean, so You've been
shitting on these quarterbacks all offseason.
Scott, it's hard. I love Shador. I think Shador is a pro. But some of these guys, man, for the life of me, it's hard to watch. Like you said, shotgun runs, overthrows, no full field reads. I'm like, this is tough. There are times where he's literally running free. It was one play. I put it on Twitter. He throws his hands up. Now, I don't want to see that as a coach. That's bad body language. But I kind of agree because he's open.
Yeah.
And I get it. You see what I'm saying? But
I saw that in watching LSU tape, too. I kept seeing a lot of them like, oh, man. But it's so many different receivers to throw to, in these programs. You can't get the ball every time.
That's a fact. And so, he's going to have to clean some of that stuff up. But, Sky, you watch the film. The good is so good.
It's good.
The good is like really like route running rise. Like it's him and Ladd McConkey to me.
I was just about to say I'll throw McMillan in there too. But I'm very impressed by a handful of these players. They look like seasoned vets in regards to route running, and he's one of them.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can get past with Burton, because again, he'll have a game where it's like 150 yards, then he has a game where, like, I'll say this, towards the end of last year, he really started to turn it on. His production, his consistency, but at Georgia, it was like people were waiting. And then, when he got to Alabama early on, it was like players were waiting. I think it would have been really good if he would have hit a play with Bryce Young another year. I think that would have been, like, key for him. But, when you ask me, I slotted Burton where I slotted him just simply off of what I know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's off of some teams' boards. Sky, that's just what we don't know. But, I mean, the value's there. I mean, it's a second-round pick. Skill-wise, it's a second-round pick, Sky. I mean, that's fair assessment. You're talking about a guy who could play in the slide in on the edge. Yeah.
It's fair assessment because I think I mentioned this yesterday or the other day. in regards to Devondre Sweat, and it kind of just relates to all these prospects. Like, all I can talk about is what I know on the field or what I see on the field and what we're told off the field. The scouts know a lot more. People in the know a lot more about said player, if information comes out or if you know people. But I can't completely ignore off-field red flags depending what they are because Cowboys been burnt too many times. With Burton, I don't even like to call that a super red flag. He just seemed like bro just want to win and get mad when I'm cool with that. As long as you're not out here beating up on people, you're not out here shooting up on people, you're not out here doing anything crazy to the point that it'll jeopardize you on the field. If it's just passion brewing, and sometimes that means there's going to be some confrontation. Hey man, deal with that shit. If you're a player, if you're a dude, deal with that. Yes, does he have some growing up to do? All these dudes do. But I don't know if it's so bad foots that it's going to knock him out of the second round. Hell, day 2, the second round. This is a second round pick all day and tomorrow. If there's slight off field issues, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And to me, that's what the scouts get paid for.
Right.
When you're in this war room, you need to figure out, okay, if you're sticking your nail, you're sticking your guy. This is your guy. So you've been scouting the Southeastern or whatever. You've watched him. You say, no, there's some things that we need to deal with. But if we're really in the true player development, this is what we deal with, and this is what we can get him in our building. We have coaches who can put their arms around him because the guy can play. Dak has shown that he will give. If you're where you're supposed to be, which he is on film, there's not one thing I'll say. We talk about those overs and those stick routes and those comebacks, and he's where he's supposed to be, ball sailing. He's where he's supposed to be, ball not out. He's where he's supposed to be, Jalen Milroe's eyes dropping. Like, these are things that I'm writing down on film. So, again, Dak is accurate. Dak will give these guys a chance. You want to talk about somebody who can run a slant?
Yeah.
Like, man, he chops guys up. So, I don't want to make excuses for him, because he does need to clean the other stuff up, Sky.
Yeah.
But the value's there, man.
No, it is, man. If you don't know, we got Foots the King joining us talking about wide receivers on our second edition of On the Clock series, doing a fantastic job as always, man. I'm so, before we get into the last two, I'm so proud of my bro Foots. He really did this thing this year in the sense of the depth. He sends me his stacks. Bro got like 50 wide receivers on his stack, man. 50 wide receivers. Like, that's just some good hard work, bro. So shouts out to you, fam.
Thank you, bro. I mean, this thing carries, Sky, but I remember talking to you earlier. People don't know how far we're going to take this thing. It's going to be beautiful, but I remember talking to you earlier in the year, like, man, Sky, this receiver class. So
yeah.
when me and Sky were talking on Twitter, I think now we get to give you guys the nuts and bolts. Like, yes, it's deep, but now we need to put these guys where they belong and the why behind it.
Bars. You and Vach about to make me really get all the way into this draft stuff, and I'm talking about early in the season, talking about November, December, because it's fun, man. Once you really dive into it, it's so much fun, and the off season for the Cowboys is hardly ever fun. And you guys brought up a player. Actually, it was you when we brought you on back in February. This always happens, and I love it. Hey, man, keep your eye out on this player at the Senior Bowl. And we talked about one of the things that the Cowboys needed, a concern, physical presence, a true number 2, but the physical presence. There's really no physical presence on the team outside of CD Lamb for real. But Xavier Legette, I mean, you want physical, you want a physical presence. 6'1", 221, measured a little smaller in the sense of height than I thought. They were listing him at like 6'3", but ran a 4.49, and he plays like 221, running a 4.4 out there, man. He is a prototype wide receiver. Raw, late bloomer, but boy, did he bloom, Foots.
So I'm going to say this, guys. When I watched his film, some of the guys that like, I love Malachi Corley and I love some of these other guys. But when I watched his film, I said, man, you know what? This is your yak receiver. That's not a small body. Let me ask you this. What did you think about him after the catch, Scott? No,
No.
I want to hear your thoughts.
No, that's so funny you brought up Yak, because when I was here, I'm trying to put the film on. When I was writing down notes, I was like, you don't really see too many 221-pound wide receivers that can get Yak like he does. He'll run through you. Yeah. He'll run by you. He won't necessarily run around you unless it's speed wise. Like, he'll run away from you, but I wouldn't say he has fluid hips to, just. But when you're that big and that strong and that fast, how many corners and DBs are going to want to try to tackle you, high? Not many. So yeah. I'm not saying he's like a Yak King like these other dudes, but you nailed it. For a bigger guy, ain't too many 220-pound dudes in this draft that gets the Yak like he does.
Yeah, and I say this again.
Just
now we're talking about stories, and we're talking about guys. I know. When you watch the film, it's kind of hard just not to say, man, what he's a first-round pick. But when you dive into his story, so here's the deal with him. Been at South Carolina all 4 years. First 3 years, between quarterback play, O-line play, coaching, the whole nine.
Late bloomer. Yeah.
It was kind of up and down. Yeah. Spencer Rattler transfers in. Spencer Rattler's first year, it was okay. He got in the lab before his senior year and every day worked with Spencer Rattler. Like they've documented this is they just went all out and they said, you know what, we're gonna make this last year our best deal. In the UNC tape, if you just watch the UNC tape, you will draft him in the first round in the top 15 picks. But obviously that's not how the draft works. But that game, literally, he made every catch. He was South Carolina's offense. And so you kind of like to hear some of that stuff. It's like, okay, here's a guy who will work hard, figure it out, will stay through adversity, and when his time came, it hit. So that's also a good thing as well. Like there's so many different, like it's going to be, that's what I mean by these receivers. You got to go deep with everybody. Washington was at Northwestern. Burton, he was at Georgia. This guy, he just stayed and did his thing. So you got to figure out what's the reason why, because you see first round tape from last year, but you got to, with him, you do need to reimagine, because I'm not asking him to run the full route tree year one. He can't do that. I wouldn't ask him to do that.
Yep, I had here. He's not going to wow you as a route runner yet. But that'll need some refining. But he'll make those tough intermediate catches and get behind you deep and win those 50-50 balls. So if you're a team that, no risk it, no biscuit type, that's your guy. That's one of them. There's another guy we're going to talk about here soon, but that's one of your guys.
Yeah, no, totally. So I mean, when it comes to Burton, man, when it comes to Legette, I thought that the Senior Bowl was cool. I thought that with him, he's more of a gamer than a practice setting player. I think that, it has to be full go. He has to get into the game, and as the game goes on, even the Georgia tape, he starts getting catches. They start having to tackle. He starts leaning on guys. And then before you know it, he makes a big play. But I really I love Xavier Legette.
He sound like a mix of Randy Moss and Law Nation. You ever hear him talk?
Oh my God, bro! That dude Beyonce just made a country album. He need to make one.
Dog, he country. Hell, he's so
that,
country.
I ain't gonna lie to you. That threw me way off. I was like, what? This is fake. Stop playing me. So
I thought it was fake too until I saw his face. Like, all right, little Randy Nation. But all right, let's get to the last guy here on this list. Which, look, in your top, what is it, 10 here? You've got Brian Thomas Jr. at 5. You have Keon Coleman over him, and a lot of people are rightfully so infatuated with Brian Thomas Jr.'s play and his film and the size and speed. Size, speed, big play merchant. Goes 6'3", 209, and ran that 4.33, and it's real. It's real 4.33. And you've been pounding the table for for BTJ, right? On Twitter, when we were going back and forth, you said, well, Scott, when we were talking about not having to jump, that was one of the things I said. I said, hey, man, we don't need to jump for a wide receiver because of how deep this class is. But you're like, that's right. Look, if Brian Thomas Jr. is there, god dang it, turn the card in. That's basically where you're feeling. And I hear you because of the talent, but like everything, who's there, where you have them stacked at, all the other stuff. But BTJ, man, why you personally so high on him? And I thought you had him higher than Coleman, but you don't. But I personally I think he is. But why are you so high on BTJ?
And you know what? If you like, so I'll say this, and I say this respectfully to all the Jaden Daniels fans. I'm surgical with this guy. I'm really watching. There's a few times where he's locking in the neighbors because who wouldn't want to lock in the neighbors?
And when he does, BTJ, remember I told you I was watching the film and you see him like, oh, man. I'm hoping. I'm like, bro, but that's neighbors over there, fam. Like, but yeah, he gets a little upset too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you this, man. Like, he does leave me. I'll start with a negative. There are times where I want to see, because he caught 17 touchdowns, but a lot of those he's just running past dudes. Yeah. Or it's red zone targets. But I mean, 17 touchdowns. I just can't slice 17 touchdowns in a college football season. Like, we're never gonna do that. But if I want to be objective, because I've already sung his praises for so long, after the catch, Scott, there's times when I see him get tackled and he's on the ground early. So is there something there as a yak guy or yards after contact?
I don't see it.
And yards after the catch. So that's two different things. And so I don't either. But guess what? In this offense, with him and CeeDee Lamb does that. Jay Ferguson does that. You go stretch the field, go win on deep over. So another thing that I had an issue with LSU's offense was I didn't see, and this is a big talking point with Jaden Daniels when we're doing the draft show the night of. I'm just going to remind everybody, people can say what they want about Drake May. Drake May throws over the middle of the field. People can say what they want about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott throws over the middle of the field. You know why Denver got rid of Russell Wilson? He doesn't throw over the middle of the field. You know what I didn't see from Jaden Daniels on film, Sky? He would not throw a post to save his life. He would not throw it over to save his life. And it was like, that's some of the stuff that scared me with him. Consistently, it was like, yeah, you'll see drag and getting the ball to whatchamacallit, but even on these plays, you see everything's to the edge. Yeah. And some of that stuff showed up on film. It was like, is he just, a decoy out there? Is it just 9-ball? Because guess what? The NFL is going to take that away from you. You need to be able to win over the middle of the field. And so I know this isn't about Jaden Daniels. This is more about Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas can win over the middle of the field right now. Like, he can run away from guys, and I think that route nuance was better. You got to remember, it's 6'3" here. So the route nuance was better than I think people even thought it was, but there was just times where he's open, he's not getting the ball. So you have to kind of weigh all that. But I love the player, I do.
Yeah, he's one of those players, when you look at the 6'3", he knows how to use that 6'3" length downfield, because not everybody that's that big can jump ball with the best of them. But he also knows how to use that damn accelerator. He's got a crazy accelerator. Like, if you're not going to contest him at the line of scrimmage, good luck if he gets into his route. Yeah, good luck if he gets to, because he got the long stride, but he has quick feet too, in my opinion, and obviously the long speed is there. But the funny thing about BTJ is what he excels at right now and what he struggles with are similar to a guy I think he'd be replacing in Dallas, and that's Michael Gallup. And what I mean is, from the jump, he's going to crush the slants. He's going to kill the go routes and those hitches, right? He did a whole bunch of hitches and go routes at LSU. But it's the other portion of the route tree that just wasn't hitting at the same rate. It's the yards after catch that, wasn't hitting at the same rate. And while his size is an advantage, downfield, I don't really see the 6'3", 209 when he's dealing with people at the line of scrimmage. Like, you should be able to get rid of these dudes, and that could just be more peanut butter in the offseason, more strength he gets, and he already confident as a player. But that's something you would like to see him do at the next level. But if you're gonna give him free releases, he's too sudden, he's too quick, he's too fast, and he can come in, day one and be a threat because of that speed, the size, to go up and get it ability downfield. I think of all these dudes, I feel like he has the biggest upside to be a wide receiver one because of that size, speed, frame, and playmaking ability. Of all these guys, he feels more wide receiver one to me at some point.
Yeah, I don't see high floor guy. I see high ceiling guy with Brian Thomas. His ceiling, if he's drafted back half of the draft, even if it wasn't Dallas, if he goes to a Buffalo or a team with a good quarterback, an established quarterback. I mean, if he's paired with Dak, and I'm telling you now, people say what they want about Dak, whatever. If he's paired with Dak and CeeDee Lamb, he's going to have a better year one than some of these guys at the top of the draft because his menu will be smaller. And I like smaller menus. Like when I'm going out to eat, especially like mom and pop spots, don't give me. I don't want to go to a pizza spot and y'all selling fried chicken. What's on the menu? Give me a small menu. Chick-fil-A me.
I hear you.
1,000 different ways to do chicken. I don't want to. And so his menu will be small, but he'll just win and get better in that way. Because, again, eyes are on 88. Eyes are on 87. There's not enough good corners to run with 4-3, this 6-3. Not enough good corners to run with a player like this.
There's a play in the Green Bay Packers game where somebody like him would have been perfect. And it's ironic because right after that play was the interception where Jair Alexander. So they sent, I believe it was kind of, I think, all goes actually. And they sent, for whatever reason, it was not Jake Ferguson, Schoonmaker up the middle of the field to try to occupy the safety down the seam. He was covered for a little bit. And then it was Brandon Cooks running down the sideline. And he gets past the guy. And Dak Prescott kind of puts it on the inside. But it looked to me, once it went incomplete, I was like, why the hell didn't Brandon Cooks lay out for that? I'm like, it wasn't like it was 10 feet away, 10 yards away. I feel like had he just literally stuck his hands out or even just dove, probably would have hit his hands and at the very least had a chance to get it. So I was like, that's odd. Why he didn't do that? Somebody like Brian Thomas Jr. 100% would have caught that ball. Or an Xavier Legette 100% would have caught that ball because you're talking about 6'1", you're talking about 6'3", you're talking about the length and the contested catchability. And we didn't have, now going back to the Cowboys, the consistent contested catch ability between the 20s outside of CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. Shouts out to Brandon Cooks in the damn end zone, though. In the red zone, that little mother, he was catching all those, blocking you with his back. Corner routes, using his body. Like, shouts out to him. But like you talked about on Twitter, in the playoff game, that weird whip route they decided to run, I think that was a terrible concept. But they ran that whip route, and Jair Alexander just runs through little-ass Brandon Cooks. You're not doing that with the Keon Coleman. You're not doing that with Brian Thomas or Legette because they're bigger guys. So those contested catches, between the 20s used to be Gallup when Gallup was trustworthy. Now, I mean, you didn't have it last year anyway, but you really don't have that from a trustworthy standpoint. Maybe Tolbert maybe steps into that, but that's why I believe a physical presence is needed. And Thomas Jr. or Legette, for these top 5 guys we're talking about here, I think they give you that.
I mean, you got him, man. And I'll say this to end on Brian Thomas Jr. He's a real deep threat. Like, I know that people like to look at Xavier Worthy and say, he's the true deep threat in this class. I got to tell you, bro, it's a lot of times on film, Brian Thomas is 3 yards past corners. And we're talking about SEC corners, Sky. We're not talking about Pac-10. Or we're talking about the fastest of the fast. You know what I mean? For my college football guys. That's different.
Bro,
his deep 4-3.
His deep ability is different. It's real, bro. That's not fake.
Yes, it's real. So, what me and you talked about so many times, like I said with Brandon Cooks, he's just little. And that's not saying that he can't win, but that goes back to kind of what you're saying about Malik Washington. It's just a difference. Jair Alexander's not playing through his body. It's just the physics won't allow him to do that.
Right,
It'll be a penalty. And so, and I want to give you and Voucher shout out to one more player that, as I cycled back after my first rankings that I put out 2 months ago, you guys were spot on about Lad McConkey.
Hey, Foots, you're reading my mind, brother. I was going to tee you up. Don't worry about it. I was going to set you up for Lad because I was going to get on your ass because we was talking in the text. I was like, look, man, I know you like BTJ, but that Lad McConkey, stop playing. You want to talk about floor? There's your floor right there.
So I'll give a quick blurb. I won't get too wordy. With Lad, I'll say this: if not for there's only one thing that scares me with Lad. He had the back issues.
Yeah.
Right. And I just want to see him take NFL tackles and pop up, which he did at Georgia. And the SEC is the closest thing to the NFL. If he does that, he can win on the outside. He's not a slot white guy receiver.
No,
this is not Hunter Renfrow.
No, you want to put him there, that's fine, but he ain't no slot only.
Bro, he can win on the edge. He can run past you. I mean, again, that whole bunch is really flavor. So I just want to give y'all flowers. I'm not draft guy who thinks I know it all. I try to stay away from that, and I'm not draft guy who can't reevaluate my evaluation. There's guys I've been wrong on. I try to listen to, even though, Scott, you say you're not air quote draft guy, you really are, because you know ball. And so if you guys are high on a guy, I'm going to figure out why. And so I just want to say that on a public forum, you and Voss were very high on him early on, and you're right. He can really, really play. I still have the guys that I love, but I'm going to try to figure out your opinions on these guys, because I think you guys are right.
Well, you got Ladd. You have him in your top 10, top 8, actually. For me, I actually have him above all those dudes except not all of them except the top 3. I know that's a bit aggressive, but that's how much I feel like his floor right now, where it's at. I think right now he comes in, and how we feel about Brian Thomas Jr. as a deep threat, how like he's an elite deep threat. I think everything intermediately, is Ladd McConkey. Everything in between, Ladd McConkey is that elite at. Lightning quick out the gate, strong hands, dude will route you up anywhere. You want to talk about yak ability? I think it's a very underrated, strong runner. He might not be a deep threat from a 4-3-3 standpoint, but because I think he can run routes so damn good, you see him kind of. There was a play. I want to say it was maybe the SEC championship game. He didn't even get the ball. I should have clipped it. He routed up this cornerback so damn bad and didn't lose a step after about 15 yards. So like he can get deep into his routes, still hit you with something, keep the speed, and be wide open downfield. Didn't get the ball, but that's Georgia for you. So I'm really high on Ladd McConkey. Probably a trade back type of candidate. But whoever gets him, man, I think they're getting a baller. Dude,
Can I ask you a question,
he
Sky?
looks like a seasoned veteran, bro.
He does. Can I ask you a question, Sky?
Yeah.
And this is what I always do to Voss when we do our shows. And I just want to ask you a few questions. Okay? Jordan Morgan or Brian Thomas Jr.?
You know what's so funny? I really wish I had. I want Voss to call in, because see if we were still doing the thing.
Let's wait. We can wait.
Friday.
But I want you sleeping on these. Let's wait till I want you sleeping on these, because now I want to be going back to being toxic flips.
Okay, let me.
Guy, I have some of these receivers higher than these linemen,
okay.
And I'm not going to.
Okay, Foots.
I'm not coming off of that. Yes.
Then you're going to like my response here. And the reason why I paused, because I wanted to make sure I got this out right, because I have to go back and reevaluate him, because first look, I'm not high on Jordan Morgan as a tackle. I was like, wait a minute, what's the deal? So seriously, bro, I didn't like the way he was moving, right? And then I saw Voss drop he dropped his film blocking Laialatu, right? So I'm like, okay, I get it, right? Mm-hmm. But then when I was watching like other stuff, I'm just like, what? He ain't moving like I like it. My left tackles to move. So then I did some more research. I wasn't aware he was coming off an ACL injury. So maybe, just maybe, he was recovering from that still, and he still put out good tape. But here go Voch. I'm gonna let Voch get in here real quick. But before I let Voch get in here, I'm gonna give off my damn Jordan Morgan tape. I'm not feeling him at left tackle right now. I need to go back and do some more deep diving. I don't like the way he moved, man. He felt a bit sluggish to me. I put him at guard. But point me to the other tape where I feel better about the movement, Voch. I'm bringing him in here, Foots. Go ahead, bro. What's up with you?
Listen, man, don't you let Foots come on here and talk y'all into not taking offensive line.
No. Hold on, Voch. What I'm not going to let you do is come in here and do that to Foots. This ain't about offensive line. This is on the clock wide receiver.
Brian Thomas.
You see how he do it?
Yeah.
How he do it?
Brian Thomas Jr., please. Okay, so what? Call it. So time out. Look, listen, Scott. I was listening because I'm a big fan of your show. I was listening, and all I heard was Jordan Morgan, and I cut everything off and called you. I don't even know what you said. What you say about Jordan Morgan?
I don't like how he moves at left tackle. I said I watched the film early on in this whole thing, and I was like, this is what everybody is so hyped about. So I did some more diving from a research position, and I was like, why is he move a little sluggish to me? Found out he's coming off an ACL injury. So I said, responsibly, let me go back and maybe watch 2022. Let me go back and watch something else because maybe he was recovering from the ACL, and that's why he doesn't move as good as some of these other guys I like.
Let me say what I value in a left tackle. Just like DeJuan Jones at right tackle, right? Do you have a black belt in what you do? You may not be the most physically gifted. You may be 400 pounds. Your arms might be short. But do you have a black belt in what you do? And to be fair, Jordan Morgan is a great mover at guard. But you know what I like in my guards? I like my guards to be powerful. I want you to be able to move cats out of A-gap and B-gap. That's what I like, just me personally. But when I watch Jordan Morgan, whether he moves funny or not, you are right about that. He is a little weird looking when he's moving. But he got a black belt in what he do. He knows where to go. He's not like his movement isn't hindering him from getting to his landmarks, right? You know, as a zone run blocker, and he got hands. I can appreciate my offensive lineman having hands. If you got anything, if you got hands and you know how to make a long arm defender short armed, that means the world to me. So yeah, Jordan Morgan can come play left tackle to me. But if he playing left guard, then I just think you're doing, Connor Williams stuff again, putting tackles at guard. I
wouldn't draft him to play guard, Vach. I just, if I'm not going to play him I just wouldn't draft him. I'll just draft me a tackle I like better. Me personally. That's just me personally.
Agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Go ahead. No. What's up? You ain't me, but I get it. Once I start talking about O-line, you got to give me your bag. I get you.
One last thing about Morgan, though. Is just that Morgan is the last left tackle I liked because Patrick Paul ain't good. Kingsley Sewell-Matea ain't good. Blake Fisher's okay, but I don't think he's great. So, when I say Jordan Morgan, go get him, I'm just saying that's your last hurrah for keeping Tyler Smith at left guard unless you sign Bakhtiari or something.
I could get with that, Vach, because I like so many more better than Jordan Morgan, but then once you get to him, maybe that's where the cluster gets broken. It's like, okay, Morgan, and then we start talking about the rest of these guys.
Yeah.
So I'll say this, guys. I'll say this, and we'll say this. These are the questions that they're gonna have to ask themselves these questions in that war room, Scott, because I do have some of these receivers. This is how much I think about the receiver class, and this goes to their all-around stack. Where do they have some of these guys over these tackles? Some of these receivers, I could make the argument that Ladd McConkey is a better player and helps you day one more than some of these tackles. I can really make that argument. And so even in the trade back scenario, especially if you're getting another 100 pick, let me ask you this, guy, and then because I know we got to, if you're getting another top 100 pick and you're getting Ladd McConkey stacked with Christian Haynes, don't you feel good about that with Tyler Smith at tackle? These are just these scenarios that I'm throwing out. That's all I'm saying.
You ain't wrong.
I'm about to say, I don't know where Vach has BTJ and McConkey, but I personally, I would that example you gave me, I'd take both of them over Jordan Morgan. And I'm offensive line. I want to take an offensive lineman. I don't know if I'm passing up on them two for Morgan, where I feel like I can get somebody comparable on day two at tackle as well. So
this is my only issue with wide receiver early, though, Foots. This is my only problem. We going to get to day two, and we going to go, damn, Xavier Legette right there. Damn, Jalen Polk right there. Damn, Malachi Corley right there. Damn, Ricky Pearsall right there. Damn, Jermaine Burton right there. That's my problem. See what I'm saying? So whatever wide receiver you're getting is going to be a complimentary guy to CD. This ain't like you drafting Jordan Jefferson, right? This ain't like you drafting Jamar Chase falling to us. It's just a receiver that's going to complement everything else that you do. And if we just talk about complimentary receivers, there's going to be a second-round receiver in the third round. So that's just how this draft goes. So if it's me, I don't want to really roll the dice in the bathroom on missing out on the offensive lineman I like, because I know for sure that it's a wide receiver that I like day 2. I'm positive.
Yeah, I put that on my tweet.
You know what?
I said it's a deep class. I need to jump for the receiver, but coming away with one in the first 3 rounds would be ideal for the future. Like I feel like somebody had tweeted it. You retweeted it. Foots, offensive line, wide receiver, come away with 2 of those in the first 3 rounds, and you can't really lose. I think.
Yeah.
There you go. And so as long as we can get to that, because hey, Guy, you did a great job talking about just how good Eric Kendrick still is. I don't know if they now value linebacker the same way that Cowboys Nation does. Just being honest with you, if we value it and we want it.
I'll be there.
Hold on, let me ask you this.
Have you seen?
Hold on. Hey, you know what? Some of that could be smoke screening too. Yeah, some of that could be smoke screening too. I want a backer. But you think I'm drafting one of these backers over one of these receivers? You out your mind. I love
I'm pulling
great
it up right now.
play.
I'm pulling it up right now. Foots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bro, they bringing in 9 linebackers, dog.
There's 9 of them.
And
they gonna double dip at linebacker.
And they're not all the top ones. Like you're looking at like first round, second round guys, and then you're looking at 5th, 6th guys. Like so.
I'm telling y'all, this team gonna trade back in this draft. I can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Dallas getting out of that pick. Dallas getting out of that pick.
Let me ask y'all this though: what if we don't go running back early? What if that's some nonsense, right?
Cool.
What if we get to draft day? What if we get to draft day and it's like, damn, we can't pass this lineman. Oh, we can't pass this wide receiver. Oh boy, T'Vondre Sweat, he fell a little bit. Oh, we got to get this linebacker. That's 4 different positions, and I didn't name running back here. I just think running back is likely to fall unless we trade back and find a way to get a 4th round pick. I don't think running back going early as they think. That's where I think the Ali and Jason that bottom of the tier running back list. That's where I think running back going to be at. I don't think
I got a guy today. I got a guy that in Dallas have been tied to Memphis. I love Blake Watson, so I'm not mad at you there, Voch. I mean, you got to get the positional value, man. Tackle, guard, center, all those interior linemen, and receiver and backer. I'm not mad if your stack looks like your day 2 stack when you're done is receiver, O-lineman, linebacker. Like if that's the case,
facts.
I won't cry about it.
No.
I won't cry about that.
We talk so much about how I personally think the running back room is deep. Like you can get a Marshawn Lloyd on day 3, 4, 5th round. I mean, you're good to go. Yeah. My only, and I agree with you, Voch. Like it could very well be running back. You get him day 3. However, the only running back I think could change all of that is Jonathan Brooks, because they did the surgery on him, and we know if he was healthy, he's probably the first back off the board. And Dallas, man, they love to go round 2, value and all this other stuff, even though I think value for running back to me is 3 on. So that's the only wild card to me is Jonathan Brooks. Other than that, if you come away, like you said, Foots, O-line, D-line, linebacker, or O-line, wide receiver, D-line, hell yeah, I'm cool. You won't find me complaining unless it's a bad player.
Yeah, man. So, man, this is one of those ones. I don't want to give away anything else because I know we got the big one on Friday.
Got the big one Friday.
Talking receivers. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
No. I'm just saying, man, we're not running out of nothing, man. There's so much to talk about. We got Roundtable Friday. Then I think we still doing the 3-man draft show for day 1 and day 2. So we got a lot, man. We got a lot. We're not gonna run out of nothing.
No. Yeah, I'm actually putting that together now, yo.
Yeah. Then when they see what we do for that draft show, they're not gonna want to go nowhere else to watch the draft. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
From a Cowboys perspective, it ain't nobody that can step on this. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Nah.
Hey, all I'm saying though is when you hear
it ain't no thing to do my thing. It's what I did. I copped that crib.
It's going down Friday, man. It's been a while. When the last time we did a damn round table?
6 months ago.
Oh, gee.
6 months ago. You told me that's half a year.
Hey, look, Voch, forget the superstition. I don't care no more, dog. So, cause it don't matter, fam. Like, we curse, we curse.
Yeah.
So, whatever we want to roll, we just roll.
Hey, look down. We didn't do it and got whooped anyway. We might as well do them every week now.
Well, wait a minute.
Right.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot. But more often.
Too much dip on your chip. More often. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Appreciate you, man.
Love
I'm
you,
going to go
bro.
ahead and get up out of here. Thanks for letting me crash in, y'all.
Of course, peace. That's Voch Lombardi,
much
man.
love, man.
Hold on, let me see. I should have brought him in like this. Where my Voch button at? It's Voch Lombardi live, y'all.
Beats Planet.
Man, good stuff. Unexpected, but as soon as you brought up Jordan Morgan, I just knew Voch was about to roll up in here because he just dropped the film session on him. But I got to go back and do some more digging, man. I was watching a little bit while y'all were talking, and he'd be the last of the Mohegans for me, Foots. That's all.
Yeah, and you're not wrong there, man. You're not wrong there at all.
All right, that's everything we got, man. Hell of a show. We got your top 10 where you gave us where, you had Malik Neighbors and Rome Dunze kind of mixed up there. Keon Coleman's your 4th rank. And we got we went in depth on Malik Washington, McMillan, Jermaine Burton, Legette, and Brian Thomas Jr. If you could give me kind of one more name that we're not discussing that may not be in your top 10 just to kind of throw out there to the nation, who would that be? It could be a day 3 guy. It could be a late day 2 guy, but one more name for the people.
Oh, Anthony Gold, Oregon State.
Oh, no,
Oregon State receiver. Sky. Gold from Oregon State.
One second. That is this Law Nation?
What up?
That is Law Nation, man.
Oh, it's a party.
Hey, Law don't be calling this, so I don't got his thing saved there. Law Nation in the building. What's good, bro?
Hey, man, I'm going to tell y'all, man, I don't like y'all show, man, at all, man. I didn't like it at all, man. I loved it, boy. I loved everything.
Hey, Law, I had to go look at my phone. I said, this is Law. No, this ain't Law's number. Go look at my goddamn contact. That is Law's number. Goddamn. What's good with you, bro?
Yeah. Hey, man, all is well. All is well, man. I just wanted to jump in. I can't wait for the round table on Friday, man, for us to really dive deep. But, man, you guys went in. Opened my eyes up to so many other wide receivers that I didn't get a chance to look at. So this show, I just want to give you guys flowers now, man. This show was off the chain, man, with the wide receiver and especially with Voch throwing in the tackle at the end.
Yeah.
That part of it can open up different dimensions too. But I just look at it like this. Mike McCarthy, Mike Zim, they on 1-year contract. So they going to have to be really fighting in that war room to get their guys.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a point.
Yeah.
And you wonder how much. I'm just curious, Law. How much influence does Mike even have? Because remember, we watched that War Room tape last year, right? And in that War Room tape, Jerry Jones looked over to old boy McClay and said, "Hey, McClay, what you want to do here?" And they rolled with what McClay wanted to do. They ain't say, "Hey, Mike, what you think?" Now he did give his opinion. But they rolled with the Mike said, "Hey man, whoever you want to pick, I'll just coach him up."
You just coach them up, and it could be a situation where you get somebody and they say, "Yeah, it's gonna take 2 or 3 years," and he's gonna be like, "Wait a minute,
I ain't got that.
I ain't got 1 year. I don't got that."
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to jump in, man, and give you guys flowers and wrap it with you guys. Hey, Foots, keep doing this good job, man.
Hey man, hey Law, this was one of those ones because I definitely want to get down to the nitty and gritty on some of these guys and not just, he does this, but we wanted to hit some of their negatives too. So I can't wait to talk with you, Law, on just Cowboys in general on Friday because I think we're gonna be it's gonna be one of those classic ones, I believe. So that's gonna be fun.
I know you gotta go, Foots. My bad for keeping you on extra, but man, when you get Law Nation and Voch in the building, we gotta bring him on. And Law, you keep setting the standard, bro. 125K. You're killing it on your channel. You're doing your thing on the final word.
Man.
I mean, just man, let me get a goddamn bomb drop for you, bro. Appreciate everything you do for the nation.
One love.
The Godfather.
Salute.
What a show, man. Hey, Foots, I hope I ain't getting you in trouble. But again,
no.
I
want to say something real quick.
Okay.
I want to say something real quick, Scott. I want to give a shout out to one of my guys that used to coach. We used to coach together. My man, Coach Swag. He's on here. He's listening. He's a big fan of yours, Sky.
Shout out to Coach Swag.
He's a huge Cowboys fan, man. That's my mentor. So I'd be remiss if I didn't shout him out because he DMV dude. He does a lot for the community. So I just want to do that, man. Sky, thank you for giving me this platform, bro. Much love to you.
Much love, Foots. As always, appreciate you, dog. We'll be rapping. Friday is going to be an absolute movie. So make sure y'all come through. It's been a while. We got a lot to say.
Banger. Salute.
Foots the King, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get some flames in the chat for Foots, Law, Vach, all coming through? Impromptu bars. Little dose of the round table. I saw somebody on Vach's, I think it was Vach's channel in the community, made a comment along the lines of, oh man, it's gonna be, y'all not gonna be able to get, everybody's not gonna be able to get out what they want to say, and are you new? We're not new to this. We're true to this. You think we're not gonna be able to put together a solid thought and get it out there without it looking like a Royal Rumble? Come on, man. This is the round table. But if you are new, pull up. We'll show you how we get down, man. You get 5 of the best Cowboy minds sitting at one round table and discussing it. And I think one of the best ways and more entertaining ways that you'll see out there, man. Foots the King, Law Nation, Vach, Okoye, myself will all be joining Friday night. It'll be absolutely fantastic. I'm excited. No, Friday, ain't gonna worry about no game. Everybody said, I think Foots at least brought it out there. We can go long because a lot of the times during the season, we cut that thing to like an hour and a half. We can go long as ain't nobody tripping. It's always fun, man. We got a lot to say, so make sure y'all come through. Let me get to these. I still got film rolling over here, man. Let me get to these super chats. So I saw some coming through before we get up out of here. Hell of a week, man. You got Aisha on Monday. Today, obviously we get Foots, but we get a surprise visit by Law and Vach. And Friday, I will be live at Hattie B's, and we'll have Pat on. I should have Pat up telling him to come through, but we'll have Pat on Friday, and probably open up the mailbag. So it's a good week, man. Really good week. Let's see where we at. 10. Okay, it's all a couple of them. We don't wipe them 304. Shouts out to you, Chris.
Super chat.
Dropped 2 and said Florio is a joke. Toxic Tom got that dog in him. Yeah, I saw the Florio stuff, man. Again, I'm not TMZ's guy, but I did see on Twitter he was coming for Pat, and I tell people all the time that ain't the one. Pat's not the one, man. You better come correct. Florio didn't come correct. Florio's trying to get his clicks. You know how he does over there on PFT, and Pat set him straight. So, hey, Mike. Still waiting for that Dez tape. Still waiting. Always something. And the Lunatic.
Super chat.
Shouts out to the Lunatic. He come through when he can, man. I remember when I was prime time, the Lunatic was always on a puro pinche cowboy. One of the originals. He said, front office ineptitude, a.k.a. dumbness, show every time. Excuse me. Deadlines make deals, just pisses people off, and you pay more. Shaking my head, but DC for L. Just go to Pat's John Vach, but I'll send it to you if Pat didn't delete it. But I ain't saying he deletes. I'm just saying, you know what? I'll let somebody else do it because I'm still alive. But there you go, Professor O got you, man. But yeah, man, deadlines make deals is what Jerry loves to say. I talked about this at the top of the show, and that's why he dropped the super chat. I hate the way they move about it. I get it's not privy to just the Cowboys. We just saw Nick Bosa. Was it last year? Nick Bosa didn't report all the way till the beginning of the season. But for the Cowboys, it's too frequent. It seems like it's every single time, and they just I don't think they really know what the hell they're doing when it comes to this. Or if they do, right, if they have an actual plan, it's a ridiculous plan. Like their plan right now seems to be, we don't want to go over our cash spending threshold for 2024. This is stupid. But they never seem to have a plan. Yeah, we'll pay the running back 3 years before we need to, but we won't pay the all-pro wide receiver. We'll pay the one-legged linebacker, but we won't pay the quarterback. We'll pay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just goofy, man. It's silly how they do it, and it's always just something different. We'll tag the tight end who is a good tight end, but he ain't a taggable tight. We'll tag the broken-legged running back. We'll extend the ACL wide receiver. Like, this is stupid stuff. Take that money. Pay your all pros, man. Stop playing around with this having to win the deal or being scorned because you got last time. Because all you do is you get, you know, what they do and how they operate. You have fans who are they easily could get in their little brains, and then they side with the front office. In reality, they can give a damn about you as a fan, really. And all they want to do is save money. They don't really care about winning first. They care about saving literal cash dollars. Because that's how billionaire oil men get to where they are, and they don't have anybody to answer to because they are the general manager, they are the owner, they are the president, and then the son is the right-hand man. So how do I line up my bottom line? I digress, man. I ain't mean to go there, but it is what it is. That's why I kind of immerse myself in the football talk, because once you start talking about this, it's just really, it's doom and gloom when you think of it that way. But appreciate Foots for coming through, allowing me to and us to talk draft. We got more draft stuff probably Friday with Pat. Opening up a mailbag probably tomorrow. And then Friday night, we got the round table, man. Round table will be fun. Yeah, Vosh. He's not the one. Pat is not the one to play that Twitter game with. Dude, for real, like a rapper with it. Yep. All right. Do me a favor on your way out. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's show. If you're new, you hopped up in here and you heard greats like Law, Foots, and Voch on here. That's what we do, man. We'll be coming together on Friday for the round table. I will be back Friday, not tomorrow, but we'll have a video drop for you. Mo will likely be back on tonight, and we're keeping this thing moving, man. We're keeping this thing moving. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and press this button.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
I got you. Great value, Skip. I don't watch his stuff to know. I just know from a writing standpoint, all he care about is getting the clicks. Somebody had posted something about he'll basically lie and hope he hits to get the clicks. That's crazy to me. That TMZ stuff, man. We out here. Love y'all. Peace.
Bomb Squad!